Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your miners have practically built themselves. Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv, and today on the channel I've got dogs barking in the doghouse. No, today we are going to talk about figures. I know, that figures. I have quite a collection of 35th scale and other scale military figures, you know, and what I do is I put them in these little containers that I acquired. So this is called a divot tool and ball cleaner. Just saying. This is the container that I get. I've got a bunch of these, so they are perfect for like 35th scale, but they work for other scales as well. I guess I can put this right here where I got it from. And as you can see, I just put them in there. They're nice and clean, and they, you know, at least I could display them and don't have to worry about getting all kinds of dust and crap in there. It's a plunger, but I have these taped shut. So anyway, today, put that back there. Today, I'm going to go over some of these figures that I have. Now, I've got a big collection of figures. No, I don't want to say big, but it's a pretty good size collection of figures. We're going to look at some of them today. The ones I have pictures of, let's put it that way. I've got a bunch of others that I don't have pictures of. You know, I'm not very good at figures. It's a real art to paint those figures. And I just don't have that. There's certain techniques you can use to make them look better, and maybe we'll talk about a few of those. But honestly, at the end of the day, you just really got to have a knack for it to be really good at it. So if you're trying to do figures, don't feel bad. I've been trying for years. But you know what? I got to have them in my dioramas. I got to have them in my tanks and whatnot. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty much the only one that sees them anyway. So, you know, as long as they look okay for me, you know, we're good. So I'm going to just show you some of the ones that I have and how I've, you know, what I've done with them, and see if you learn anything, or if you get inspired at all. Hopefully it will help you out. So stick with Mad Dog Merv as we look at some of my figures.
Well, to start out, I got those Tamiya U.S. Generals earlier in the year, and got those built up pretty quick. And I'll just kind of go over real quick a couple of things on how I construct mine. I don't spend a lot of time on my figures, and I know that it shows. So, first of all, as I'm putting everything together, there's these little seams that I do my best to fill either with sprue glue or just kind of clear off the edges with a knife. You can kind of see on these Tamiya figures how those are. So I usually start by painting the face, and of course I start with the eyes. And yep, this is how my figures usually turn out. Yeah, I use a gray. I don't use white for the eyes. I use a light gray, and it works a whole lot better. And usually what I'll do, as you can see here, they got the big bug eyes, because I will paint that gray overall, little black stripe in the middle, and then I kind of fill in the flesh color around that. So, yep, there they are with the great big bug eyes. But you'll see with the technique that I use in using some shading and kind of cutting down these big, huge bug eyes, they actually turn out pretty good in the end. But yeah, definitely have bug eyes, and I still have problems with making the eyes too big sometimes. So here is Rommel and how he turned out. Did some mixing, and these I usually use enamels, but I did some mixing on the colors on his face. And here is Ike. Of course, I always use a wash, a nice black wash once I've got everything painted, that Larry's bath water. and that fills in pretty good. And then I give it a dry brush of a lighter color, like for example this tan. I just added a bit of white to it and then dry brushed all of that area. So just a kind of a quick technique that I use. Your base paint, let it dry, Larry's bathwater, and then a highlight color. George here, his face stayed a little bit too dark, unfortunately, but you know what, it's gonna have to be how it is. So, and same with Monty. Not too bad from a distance, but up close, yeah, it's not great. But at least he doesn't have those gigantic googly eyes. Well, they're probably a little bit bigger than they should be. A little goofy looking, but hey. So here they are, these three. And I always build a little stand for them, usually out of styrene. Put some groundwork on it so that it looks like they're standing on something at least. Speaking of which, this was a giveaway figure from an IPMS Nationals a few years back, and you can see here the base that I've got him on. These were 3D printed, as I recall. But anyway, these were a giveaway at the IPMS Nationals a few years back. And you had to assemble them and paint them, and I can't remember which German general's there, but it turned out pretty good. And here's de Gaulle. I actually got him from one of those Master Box kits, and he is every bit taller than everyone else, just like he's supposed to be. Now, I do a lot of figures where I pose them with tanks. And this particular one, this tank crewman, I just kind of glued him up against the edge of that tank. Here I got a couple of guys down inside of this. I can't remember what the heck this is, but anyway, it's a Panther with an anti-aircraft turret. And then I got this guy. He's on my E50, just kind of chilling. You can see his blonde hair sticking out from underneath his cap. So for my figures, I use a combination of acrylics and enamels. I like enamels a lot more. Here was a little phase I went through building a whole bunch at one time, mostly tankers, but there's some Marines in there as well. One of the things I really enjoy modeling are the Marines in the Pacific with the dogs. They had dogs for sniffing out the Japanese. They also had dogs for courier duty. And so there's the dogs I recently built. Here is a Marine with his Dobie. And I think, yeah, I have him here in a different light outside, more natural light. You can kind of see how he turned out. Dobie's eyes are a little big, I think. And here's one of the figures, the resin figures that I did recently. Did a show on that not too long ago. And the other figure with the German Shepherd. Masterbox had some great figures for the Pacific Marines, and here's another one of them with the Dobie. And here it is in natural light. And again, kind of a different angle. And there you go again, a different angle. This picture here is a little bit washed out in that natural light, but the Doberman in his sitting position. Now the kit came with a guy kneeling with a dog, but I decided to put a flamethrower on him, and of course he's smoking a cigarette. I thought that was just poetic how he's got the flamethrower and yet he's got the cigarette in one hand. Now these two figures were modified from a Zvezda kit. These are actual like Russian Marines, and I modified them to be U.S. Marines, you know, with the old white t-shirt. Yeah, I thought that'd be kind of fun. This one swinging a sledgehammer and toting a shotgun. It was kind of fun custom building these guys out of those Russians. And then I've got a bunch of Japanese figures, but the only one that I have here is this character I've got who's mad at the Coke machine. I actually have a 35th scale vending machine. I painted it up to look like a Coke machine. It actually belongs in one of the museum models I'm building. And here's, well, from one of the U.S. tanker kits. Again, he's smoking, carrying a gas can. I like this picture. This guy's smoking too, but this natural light picture, I really like the way this turned out. This is a U.S. tanker from one of the newer Tamiya sets. And here he is with the light on his face, and you can see I've got some markings on his outfit. And here's some Marines that I built for this little diorama. A couple years ago I put this video out on how to make the basics of a diorama, and I put these little Marines in it. Thought they turned out pretty darn good at the time. This particular character, well, he's a Russian flamethrower guy. Comes with that TACOM KV5 kit that I still haven't finished building, but I had to build that figure. He's just too cool. Funny thing is, he's kind of dressed like one of my employees going in cleaning a school during the COVID days. And there's this guy, looks like Brad Pitt carrying an ammunition box, but he's in that U.S. tanker set from Tamiya. Here's a couple of those guys set with T-26 that I have built. And speaking of which, well, here's Alvin Erdzat's M4A3, and well, got a couple of crew figures there to represent he and his crew. Again, these are Tamiya figures. These here are some old Tamiya figures dressed up in winter clothes, and I put them in a winter scene, kind of like they're looking for aircraft that are flying over. And oh yeah, my Fury figures. Now these are not the Bravo 6 figures. These are just Tamiya figures that I've painted up and represent the crew of Fury. I think they turned out pretty good. Here's Gordo. Even have his little mustache, although it's kind of hard to see in this picture. So I like to kit bash a lot, and here we have a couple of figures to represent. They're on my T-29, and they represent a couple of Marine tankers. Just different parts from different kits, and they're trying to entice this little yellow dog. And the good old-fashioned Tamiya figure, you know, the old tank commander on my M6. So, hey, thanks for watching, folks, and well, hope to see you again soon.